We're back on the lathe. I wish I hadn't bought it lathe. My sneaky suspicion that I was going to end up spending quite a lot was pretty accurate, to be honest. So I bought some washers, but most importantly some thrust bearings. Interestingly, I've got this shaft. The thrust bearings probably ought to bear against these, but in practice what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some on the outside here and some on here, because most of the work this thing's going to be doing is going to be from this end. So pressing against there, and then very occasionally I'll be working with something here, and that'll go on there. So one set of thrust bearings on the outside there, and some there, maybe one washer in addition on the outside here, and then a couple of washers here to make up whatever's required, really. As is always the way, it seems, life's never quite that simple. So the issue is that I want these to be a sort of an okay fit on there. Now those washers are okay. Yeah, I can live with that. But the thrust bearings are just all a little bit tighter. I don't want to take anything off the shaft at all. So my plan is to use my little Proxxon, whatever it is, IBSE, which is like a little Dremel, but beautifully quiet, I have to say, with a little diamond grinder. Right, let's see what happens. Well, it certainly feels like it's taking something off. Okay. Well, I think we'll call that a success. Have to be a little bit more careful with these, I think. I think I've got the potential to really muck these up if I'm not careful. Oh yeah. Put this end plate on first of all, because that will generally be there. And obviously that has to sit away from that, like so. So I'm expecting there just to be these three on there. There's tons of room. That's good. I could try it with one more. The bearings are completely dry at the moment, hence the awful noise. Oh, real first principles stuff, sorry. Safety glasses on and press go. Promising. Okay, so the jobs to do are sort out the Morse taper here, which we know has kind of a little bit damaged. I've bought a reamer to do that, so I'll tackle that in a minute. And then there's the whole question of this motor. Do I want to use this motor? My mate Chris King returned the original motor which now seems to work. He's worked out what the wiring is all about and has sorted it out for me. So I might have a look at that next. So first of all, let's do the Morse taper. This is a cheap reamer from eBay. It's quite promising alignment there. Now, apparently, the thing with these is you don't turn them backwards ever when they're cutting, because that just drags swarf onto the cutting surface and damages the edge. So I'm turning it by hand and I'm advancing. Got some damage further back. That's quite a big lump of something that's taken out. And then a bit up here as well. So let's try that now. Oh yeah. Because when I put this in here and ran it first time, this was sort of wobbling around really visibly, like about a millimetre or millimetre and a half. It was really way out. So anyway, that's good. We seem to have that working. So I'm going to call it a minor success, I think. Oh, just about. Excellent. Oh yeah. Just a little bit of ramming from a curtain rail. Don't expect anything brilliant, will you? Yeah, well, that is absolute rubbish turning, obviously on my part, with a really, really blunt tool. Nothing set up yet, speed's all wrong, etc, etc. However, I got some turning, got something turning. Oh yes, yes, absolute rubbish bit of turning by me, but it's the first bit and it's on a lathe in my workshop. Yes, I'm going to count that as a success. So the next stage is to finish off those other bits and pieces that I need to do to this. I need to sort out the motor and see if I can get that other motor on there, because that's lovely and quiet compared with this one. This is quite noisy. I then need to work up a set of tools that I can use for turning violin pegs is one of the things I want to do on it. But obviously I'd like to try other things as well. So yeah, I'm all right with this. That's okay. Next time we chat about it, I'll be probably mucking around with the motor, and I will also, because I think we're probably kind of there in terms of buying bits and pieces for it, I will also tally up what the final count was and let you know. How much of that noise is the motor? Let's just... this. Okay. That's interesting, isn't it? So I really am going to have a go with the other motor, because that motor is kicking out a lot of the noise. So today's first exercise is to see whether I can replace this motor with the original motor. God, that's so much quieter. Let's do it. That is so much better. Okay. So there we have it. So this hopefully will be the last episode about the lathe sort of refurbishment or commissioning, whatever you want to call it. I've got it working, and I've been making a few little bits and pieces with it. That was just a little trial piece, and also some more useful things like a handle for the little diamond files that I use. So I did tell you how much it would all cost, so here we go. The lathe itself was £40. The lathe centres, which I bought, were 19. The oilers was £7. The chuck was £22.50. The switch was £8.50. The V-belt was £5.30. The washers that I used in conjunction with the thrust bearings were £22. Seems expensive. The thrust bearings themselves were £11.50. The Morse 1 taper reamer was £16, and the centres, oh, I've put down twice. Oh, that's good. So it's not as bad as I thought. So I can take £19 off the total. I put 171, so that would make it £152, wouldn't it? So £152 for a lathe that actually looks pretty bad, but in all honesty, works really well. It's beautifully quiet. I mean, I realise if I just put 150 quid together, I could have probably gone out and got a second-hand lathe that was better than that, and probably would have a better resale value. But in all honesty, it's actually really nice to use, and I'm okay with it. The nice thing about that is if I can actually use it to make violin pegs, which looks highly likely because it's quite easy to use for fine stuff, then my 150 quid investment will be repaid fairly quickly, which is really nice. And also it means I've got a lathe to muck around with, and I have been mucking around, obviously. Made a few little handles, as I say, this one for which I've used now all the time to hold my diamond files. I think the family better watch out. There's going to be some turned Christmas presents this year. So yeah, to sum up, it probably wasn't the cheapest way to get a lathe, but it's a really nice lathe to use. It feels really solid on that bed. I think the £150 investment will be repaid quite quickly once I start turning violin pegs and end pins, because handmade violin pegs and end pins turned in boxwood, made in the UK, made in England, are not the cheapest thing. And just as a little end note, because my brother knew that I was looking for a lathe, he knew of one that was being effectively given away, and I now have this in the workshop as well. So I'm looking forward to getting on and starting work on this rather large lump of boxwood, which is just going to become violin pegs and end pins for my next few violins. Okay, that's it. Over and out. Look after yourselves. See you, folks.